I'm about to restore your guys' faith in Boltund because this Pokemon is overlooked, it's slept on, people aren't giving it the credit it deserves, and that is what we're going to be talking about in today's video. So if you end up enjoying it, don't forget to leave a like, share it with your friends. Now let's get into the guide. So a lot of people, they just look at the stats and go, man, that's a little disappointing. 90 on the attack, and then low defensive stats. But I mean, for sweeping Pokemon, you don't really care about the hit points and defenses too much, and then that's really the only disappointment is when you look at 90 attack, because 121 speed is good, but where people fall apart on this Pokemon is that it has the electric type syndrome. Now, anyone that's used pure electric type Pokemon might know what I'm talking about. That generally, the coverage is very poor, that we don't have a lot of typings to use or anything like that. However, that's not what Boltund falls prey to. We have Crunch, which synergizes with our ability Strong Jaw. So we land a super effective Strong Jaw Crunch. It doesn't matter about that 90 attack anymore. That Ghost-type Pokemon is going down. And we need to remember that Talonflame has less attack than a Mungus in the low 80s. So Boltund's 90 attack, it's salvageable. It's definitely usable. And then we have Play Rough. Fire Fang found its way through. And since we don't have Garchomp, Dragonite, I don't think there's that much of a need for 4x Ice. So Fire Fang is something that we can add onto a moveset if we want to. And then we don't really have anything else to use. But there's enough. Actually, Psychic Fangs works as well. But there's enough to put together a competent moveset. And I think that's better than most electric-type Pokemon. Then we can just take a look at the pure electric ground weakness. That's it. But we're frail, so these neutral hits don't matter, and we're so frail that the resistances don't matter. Think physical Jolteon, but more damage and less speed. However, that's not a bad thing either, because when we look at the speed tier, well, nope. There we go. So when we look at the speed tier, there's not a lot between Jolteon and Boltund. We have Weavile, we have Ribombee, and we have Noivern. Noivern isn't used, Ribombee isn't used. I feel Weavile could probably be used a bit more, but isn't there. So effectively, when it comes to outspeeds that matter, Boltund is the same as Jolteon, except for Jolteon that get in the way of Boltund. And then things kind of get weird because it's resisted hits and awkward damage, and Jolteon can have the Volt Absorb, but it's not that terrible for the Boltund. It outspeeds anything that matters, really, like Inteleon. Inteleon's on that 120 speed, and Boltund outspeeds, pops it. Same with Cinderace. Cinderace is pretty frail, so we can stack a lot of damage onto Pokemon. And one thing that made me realize Boltund is a lot better than people think is that imagine this Pokemon in Generation 4. Like, it's just a better Luxray. And people are out there trying to make Luxray work. So if they've had any success, they're going to find potentially more success on the Boltund because what's holding Luxray back is the speed. And if you think about it, when you're using Guts and stuff, that's, using an item, protect, getting the burn, and then having that attack go up, it's effectively a choice band, but it lets you change moves. However, if we're getting Strong Jaw boosting on a choice band, and we're still getting usable stab out of it, we're just a faster Luxray that hurts. Like, if Boltund existed in Generation 4, this Pokemon would be busted. So if we can play it like a top Generation 4 Pokemon, just let it ignore some of that power creep, it will be okay. So let's go and look at a Boltund moveset. Thunderfang, Play Rough, Crunch, Psychic Fangs, just coverage and stuff and destroying things. Like I said, if you want to, you can tech in the Fire Fang. Mostly usable against Ferrothorn and Grass-type Pokemon. Since Grass-type Pokemon do resist you, it is something that could be nice if you just come in, super effective hit, Strong Jaw boosting, all that stuff lines up. That's really nice. And then Choice Band is just going to add all of that damage. So Fast Choice Band, it backs it up. This Pokemon hurts, and there's also another thing you can do with Boltund, and that's run the Bulk Up. So if you're going against a physical Pokemon, you bulk up, that lets you survive a hit, then you can Thunderfang, Play Rough, Crunch for free. You effectively have the 1.5 times from the Choice Band, and then we're just getting 30% more damage because of Life Orb, and everything else still applies. And even though we have Life Orb and that puts us on a timer, and it's going to cost us health after taking a hit for the Bulk Up, it's not that bad. So that's where we go into damage calculations, which made me realize, alright, Boltund can be usable. So we go up against Pokemon like Gengar, we outspeed the Gengar, we hit it with a Thunderfang, that's a KO. So at the very least, Boltund is just going to be a lot of fast, painful damage, and it can find some situations where it gets those KOs. And then we're looking at the bulk up set. This is like a kind of bad case scenario for physical attack, because multi-attack is going to be 120 base power, stab, and if it's like an adamant, full attack Silvally, this is a very powerful hit. But we outspeed, we get the bulk up, and then we take, you know, around 70% or something. So with Life Orb, this gives us 3 turns of very high damage. And also you can bulk up, tank a hit, go into the Dynamax, use a max move. Max moves get kind of weird because it gets rid of our strong jaw, but then it's going to set electric terrain. So if you're in a situation against a physical Pokemon not as bulky as Silvally that you outspeed, you bulk up, you Dynamax, you one-shot it, and then you set electric terrain, and now you have more damage to continue one-shotting for the next couple of turns. Now, if you're going Dynamax, that does leave open a lot of weird things, because then you can put in the Wild Charge for, like, more damage in your Dynamax. Does give up some coverage. I think the coverage is very important, especially for an Electric-type Pokemon, and then you still have the other coverage moves to use while Dynamax for either those beneficial effects or just the super effective hits, and you can keep on cleaning up. So, like I said, you're outspeeding everything that Jolteon outspeeds, you have more coverage, and you can stack damage a lot harder, and then you can just kind of go and wreck things for a couple of turns. And while you're Dynamax, you know, the Life Orb is going to make things a little weird, and then you come out of it and you get a KO. So it's not like a 6-0 sweeper or a Pokemon that you can just set up with and take over games, but it can exist in a really good sweeping niche. Like, I think this Pokemon kind of revives or can be used as the cleanup sweeper that is kind of missing from Generation 8, because Generation 8 is just wild. It's all or nothing, Dynamax into shenanigans or hard stalling, and then there's a Swords Dance and heavy sweep going in. But if you can actually find like a neutral point in the middle of a battle, Boltund can find an in and then just kind of wreck with it. And I think that that's a really good place for the Boltund. Here's another thing that Boltund can do that's probably underrated. It checks Mimikyu. So Mimikyu gets a Swords Dance, then its disguise is broken by your other Pokemon. That Pokemon gets swept out. Boltund comes in, it's faster, it survives a +2 Shadow Sneak. So even though it's frail, it's not frail enough, so you can do that, and then Thunderfang comes in for enough damage after the Disguise Break and the Life Orb burn, and you're good to go. And then depending on what the opponent responds with, you still have a lot of damage backing it up, so it's a good check 1+, or you just switch it out into another tanking Pokemon. I think that's another thing that Boltund is good at. It's good at that hit and run. It comes in, blows up an opponent. If there's a really strong like counter pick into it, then it just switches out into a tankier Pokemon to absorb that hit, and then when one of your Pokemon comes down, Boltund comes in. So Boltund is like the ultimate revenge Pokemon. If you just kind of keep it around, it's like every time one of your Pokemon faints, you just go to Boltund for like a big coverage hit, and then you either KO that Pokemon, or you just like survive like a strong-ish hit, but not an overwhelming hit. Boltund switches out, and then it comes back, and it just keeps racking up damage throughout the battle. So we do have kind of like carry 2 KO plus Boltund, or we just have cleanup, sweeper, big damage existing Boltund, depending on like the choice band, or if you're going for bulk up or something. And then the rest of the damage calculations are still kind of compelling. So Shadow Ball, this is awkward and weird for the Boltund because, you know, Dragapult, it's not the most powerful Pokemon. Like Choice Specs, 100 special attack, does outspeed. So it's one of the few Pokemon that outspeeds us. There's a chance for Shadow Ball to KO, so that might be something that needs to be taken in consideration. Like 200 attack isn't going to change our crunch KOs or anything like that, but then putting the extra points into hit points gives us like a very high chance, like a high enough chance to survive anyways. So we'll be good on that front, and this is what I mean. Like, you can take a hit, and if you have that super effective against something, you just KO it. I also want to show the theoretical Ice Fang, like Ice Fang not really mattering too much. So I mean, you come in with Crunch, Play Rough, Strong Jaw, all these other good things stacking up, and then you just pop fools. So that's kind of nice. Look at some other ones. Doug Trio, Play Rough. There's Choice Band, Play Rough on a 90 attack. We have that like 1 speed outspeed against Doug Trio, and Doug Trio is like the only other Pokemon that's more frail than us in the game, and we can almost KO it all the time, so we have a good chance of KOing it. Just gotta show you, like, we come in and we outspeed and we just do damage and we make it work against a lot of different matchups. And then the Fire Fang, if you want to run that, Choice Band or a +1 Fire Fang, so if you already have the bulk up stacked. Actually, if you have bulk up with Life Orb, that's gonna be enough to KO the Ferrothorn. If you have Choice Band and like you get in this weird matchup, only a full defensive Ferrothorn can survive you. So if it's like careful and a little bit of mixed or something, we start finding those KOs. Actually, we start finding the KOs earlier. We start guaranteeing KOs with the Boltund, just like that. And like I said, if you have electric terrain, maybe from another Pokemon, you know, you get an electric terrain set up by a Dynamax Rotom. Though I don't kind of support the Dynamax Rotom because if you're choiced, and then you choice into Dynamax, you lose the choice effect, and then that kind of makes things a little awkward. But you know, or maybe the opponent gifts you an electric terrain because they did something weird with the Dynamax. Boltund comes in, just utilizes that. I think it can take advantage of a lot of things and just be a really strong Pokemon overall. But that's kind of it, you know. There is that dimension to it where it's like you can do this, you can do that, and that's kind of it. You can look through the moveset and you can try to come up with some other stuff, you know, like fast nuzzle to maybe change the speed tiering in doubles is kind of awkward. Maybe like focus sash it, try to like land that nuzzle, just tag damage, break a sash, guarantee a paralysis against something. Maybe set your own electric terrain if you want to. I disagree with Volt Switch. Snarl could maybe work in doubles. I disagree with Volt Switch in singles, is what I meant. And then Wild Charge, since we have the strong jaw, we have more than Wild Charge damage from the Thunder Fang, but no recoil, which is nice. That keeps us around a little longer. You can piece together a few other things, like Charm is neat, but I think you just want a dedicated supportive Pokemon. However, in doubles, I think Boltund is really good too. Like, if you just come in with fast Choice Band, you outspeed, like if you're one of the fastest Pokemon on the field, or you are the fastest Pokemon, you just come in and hurt something. And then if you don't die because you can niche survive non-super effective hits and you only have to worry about Earthquake, so split damage, a non-Dynamax hit, Boltund survives and then just does it again. And maybe it takes a KO, and maybe the opponent didn't focus it. And then Boltund gets 3 very powerful hits in doubles and actually gets more out of it. Like, I think that's the thing about Boltund. It can sweep, it can clean up, it can set up into high damage, or it just gets more use than the Pokemon it's worth. That the game of Pokemon is getting that plus and keeping that plus against your opponent. So anytime you have a Pokemon that goes 1+, that's good, and Boltund seems like a compelling 1+. So it's not taking over games, but it's at least giving you more than the other opponent is worth, and that's going to be pretty nice. So if you guys enjoy the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.